And now to a major rebuke of an Illinois law criticized as soft on crime. A judge has moved to stop the elimination of cash bail in the state, calling it unconstitutional. More than half of the state's counties sued to strike down the reform approach that has been a lightning rod for controversy. And unless the state Supreme Court steps in, the cash bail portion of the Criminal Justice Reform Act could be a no-go in 65 of the state's 102 counties. Our Nick Smith is in studio with more. Good morning, Nick.
Good morning, Mitch. Mitch, I know it sounds like a lot because people have heard bits and pieces of this, but Illinois was on track to become the first state to completely eliminate cash bail until the judge's ruling. The SAFE-T Act, which removes cash bail after an arrest, will still take effect in many counties, including the state's most populous county, Cook County, which includes all of Chicago, but it won't stand in the counties that sued. Currently, anyone detained for a crime in Illinois is assigned a bail amount in order to be released from pretrial detention. Anyone posting 10% of that amount would be released prior to their trial. Now, defendants will first have a hearing to determine if they will be held at all prior to trial. The hearing will then take into account the severity and the type of the crime, and if the person could be considered a flight risk or a threat to public safety. There are at least 10 major locales that have passed cash bail reform nationwide since 2019. But again, none have completely done away with cash bail like Illinois' new law. In the places where reforms have been put in place, multiple studies have found that reducing or removing cash bail does not, again, it does not lead to an uptick in crime. In New York, an analysis done by the Albany Times-Union found between July of 2020 and June of 2021, there were around 100,000 cases impacted by the state's new bail reform laws. Just 2% of those led to rearrest for a violent felony. But what people are really thinking about is how skipping court dates, well, never to be heard from again. That didn't happen. In New Jersey, 12% of inmates in 2012 were being held because they couldn't pay the bail amounts of $2,500 or less. By last year, that number had dropped to 2.4%. Yet those released without bail showed up to court 97% of the time, the same as those that were released on bail. All of this means that for all the fear-mongering around the elimination of cash bail, multiple studies in multiple states and cities have found it does not increase the recidivism rate and has not led to people skipping court dates, and actually has led to more people, Mitch, pleading their cases in court rather than simply pleading guilty. Mitch, it all comes from a fact that so many people who were affected by cash bail just could not afford that 10%, $2,500 bail, meaning that you had to pay $250. Mitch, believe it or not, that was hard for some families.
Yeah, and it led to people just pleading guilty just to get out of jail and get on with their lives.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.